Right, welcome back. Let's take a look at those trending topics now on this Reconciliation Day edition of Morning Live. And first up, Dali Mpofu, Leanne. And just taking a look at this one, of course, Dali Mpofu, that statement, the shut up statement, coming back to haunt him, it would seem.
Yeah, it certainly does. I mean, I think that's the. I'm just trying to bring up the actual story on that one, but that's the talking point. So it is the Dali Mpofu shut up conversation that has seen, and the shut up saga. The LPC orders Mpofu to face charges for basically contemptuous conduct, and that's the pretty much the story. And lots of people are now speaking out about that. Just to give you again a little bit of background on that story. The computer's playing games with me this morning. During the state capture inquiry, you'll remember, this was in March, Advocate Dali Mpofu stated Public Enterprises Minister Pravin Gordhan and his advocate Michelle Roux must shut up. Mpofu denied any wrongdoing at the time, laid unprofessional conduct complaints with LaRue and General Counsel of the Bar chairperson, Craig Watt-Pringle, who then accused him of playing the race card. A Legal Practice Council committee dismissed Mpofu's racism and misconduct complaints against LaRue and Watt-Pringle, but found that he should be charged with unprofessional conduct. So that's pretty much so a summary of that story. And Dali Mpofu, of course, trending because of that story.
Right, on to the next one, hashtag Zuma. And this one, of course, the Pretoria High Court judgment yesterday determining that the former president should be returned to prison because it found Arthur Fraser, the Commissioner of Correctional Services, decision unlawful. So we will be talking more about this, of course, in the next few minutes with Ulrich Roux, but this then led to all sorts of things trending around Jacob Zuma.
Yeah, indeed. Looking forward to the conversation that's coming up in a couple of minutes' time to get a bit more on that ruling. Then, of course, Eskom is trending, and, you know, Eskom... the threat of stage 8 load shedding. I mean, that's another thing that Eskom came out and said, you know, they threatening stage 8 if they're saying, what is it, Eskom warning unexpected or expect stage 8 electricity blackouts, you know, all about price demands and all of these kind of things. But I mean, it's not that we haven't seen it. It has happened. The threats sometimes come true. But I mean, really, this is just unfortunate at the moment. And then, of course, I think Eskom also releasing their results.
Yeah, they certainly did. The stage 8 threat stems from something related to the emissions at Eskom. So they've not been compliant, and the Department of Environmental Affairs, of course, has called them to book over this. And what is the case currently is that Eskom has appealed that particular decision. So essentially just kicking the can down the road. Had they not, it would have probably meant that South Africa would have been in the dark over this festive season, because there's around 16,000 megawatts that would have to be removed, because they would literally have to switch off certain power stations in order to comply with the emissions rates. So that has become quite a story with the Department of Environmental Affairs and Eskom over the emissions saga, and that is what brings the stage 8 threat into context. And as you say, also Eskom's financials. We know that Eskom has asked NERSA for a more than 20.5% increase, starting, of course, April next year, if granted. So we're still awaiting NERSA's decision on this, but lots to talk about Eskom. And of course, they're talking about perhaps becoming profitable by the year 2026. And also regarding the emissions issue, you know, it's a lot of talk around Eskom and green energy. So at the moment, simply cannot afford to bring online immediately the sort of green builds that Eskom will need. So this is a mess.
Yeah, it's a big problem. It really is. I mean, this is our electricity, and I was chuckling when you were relaying how they're saying that they may just record a profit in whatever year it is. They may record a profit, but everybody else is losing because of this. And I mean, every moment that there is load shedding and there's no electricity, businesses are falling apart, and that is the reality. Not to mention the inconvenience that is brought about by all of this load shedding. And I mean, when you talk about stage 8. And that's not having electricity for hours and hours and hours a day. I mean, what is it? It's like, I have no idea, but it is, I mean, when you look at that stage 8, I mean, you load shed like 4 times a day for hours on end. It's just, anyway, all right.
It is sad, Leanne, because it really speaks to how what is being discussed now is actually law in terms of the emissions. So the two departments have to find one another one way or another, but it also raises questions about, do our people, departments, across departments, through cabinet, not speak to one another? How did we get here?
Yeah. It's a long story, a long, horrible story, but hopefully we can tackle the issue in the coming days.